What's up? Okay, so this is the Powerful Comicsman podcast. We're gonna be starting in a in a few. Let me just say some announcements. so, uh, so this podcast is brought to you by Miucha Lux Cakes. We have mini donuts over here. Okay, so Miucha Lux Cakes, you can see this at hello.miucha on Instagram, as you can see on the screen, and also in our Facebook page. And then also we are at Good Food Sundays in Mandala Park every Sunday. And doon sa Mandala Park, meron dong busking affair. We started the busking scene, man.
This is the one in Shaw.
Yeah, the one in
Right.
Shaw.
Yep.
And right beside Pure Gold. So I have kumbaga nakumbinsi namin yung mga ano yung organizer nun
Nice.
para mag-busking kami doon. Kasi they have this huge ass PA system and
Yes, that's huge. It's like a little quadrangle in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so with that PA system, but they were just playing MP3s all the time. And so I have a lot of musician friends that I could bring here, and then they said yes. So
Nice.
check out the Good Food Sundays busking affair. I'm posting videos. Well, it's a vegan Sunday market
Mhm.
and vegan food trip. You don't have to be vegan para pumunta doon. Kung gusto mo lang magpagtripan yung mga ano,
Yeah.
well, the food will surprise you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's good. I got one. Like I want to eat everything, but it's gonna be all over my teeth on this podcast.
well,
so we don't
of course, these babies are the star of the show.
wanna- There you go. I'm just here to talk with the donuts.
Okay, so you can hear him now. We have Ronster Baetiong. Baetiong ba? How do you pronounce that?
Filipino way is Baetiong, yes,
Bay?
but I always get murdered. So
Uh-huh.
it's just, and then the word Bay became
Bay.
so it's like, that's
Ronster Bay.
Whatever. You know,
Anyway,
right.
he is the founder of Podcast Network Asia and the host of the Hustleshare podcast, and one of the first to do it here in the country. And we are gonna discuss this beautiful thing that is podcasting. That alam mo yun, it's the future, man. So stay tuned. And if you want to try doing anything like this, check out the XSplit. It's what I use on to broadcast to do my broadcast, and just download it. I have a link down at the descriptions. And yun, Pinoy podcasting is on the rise, and that's exactly what we're gonna be talking about tonight with Ronster. And of course, follow. We are also what do you call this? Broadcasting live on YouTube, and the audio will be later on uploaded to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So to those who are just listening, tapos hindi nila alam, baka may mga nakikinig doon. Hindi ko kasi masyadong inaasikaso yung ano, magpapaturo ko si mama.
Okay, let's do this.
Doon sa audio part.
Exchange nuts.
Okay.
There you go.
So, mamaya na ulit. Let's go! powerful komiksman podcast. Okay, so I am with Mr. Ronster Baetiong.
What up? What up?
What's up? So like I said kanina,
Mm.
Ronster is one of the main proponents of for podcasting here in in the local scene in the Philippines. And yun, actually ang daming ano eh. Let's i-partition natin yung mga topics.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Let's go. We can talk
Okay.
about this all night. I
Oh,
already
yeah.
asked my fiance, my lab, I will go there very late. I will just sneak in the bed, but
Yeah,
at least I'm with a dude. So I'm good. All right, we're good. We're good
yeah.
tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for doing this, and
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mrs. Baichong,
Yep.
thank you then. so so in my case kasi I fell in love actually in
Mhm.
podcasting because
Sure.
um I started working freelance back
Mm.
in 2010.
Oh wow, that's
And
20 years ago.
2010 or
Congratulations.
2011, more or less
Wow,
ganun.
it's a
Probably
long
end
time.
of 2010.
Okay.
And I used to work in an environment with artists.
Okay.
Tapos very loose lang yung ano namin doon eh. So, pwede kayo magkulitan, pwede kayo
Mm.
kumbaga maingay kami.
Sure.
Tapos, syempre, ako yung bangka parati
Okay.
sa kwentuhan. And, then, eventually, I had to move on
Mhm.
and went freelance.
Okay.
But well, which is a great move.
Yeah.
But yun ang na-miss ko bigla yung chika, 'di ba? 'Di ba?
Yes.
Yung
The
so
office culture.
yeah, and uh well, to make the long story short, podcasting filled that void,
Wow.
'di
So
ba?
you've been,
Kasi
how long have you been doing this now?
well, I've started listening nung una hindi pa podcast per se,
Mhm.
mga TEDx, mga ganyan.
Got it. Okay.
Tapos eventually,
You porn,
yeah.
Pornhub. Okay, those
Tapos,
are the things. Okay, sorry if my
oo nga. Oo
missus
nga.
is stay citing examples tonight.
Anyway, so and then later on, of course, the Joe Rogan experience came along, and I
Yes.
discovered it sometime nung mga simula pa lang, nagsisimula pa siya.
Yeah.
And parang it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It blew my mind because this guy is the Fear Factor fucking guy
Yep.
with UFC
UFC guy.
commentator.
Yep.
Well, that is so why I also so glad that I also fell in love with the mixed martial arts sports.
Right.
'Di ba? Kasi if not, hindi ko na discover si Joe Rogan.
Correct.
And my question back then was, bakit ba itong Fear Factor guy ang ang nagko-commentate dito, 'di ba? So I had to look him up and then found out na how awesome he actually is.
Yeah.
And then of course, the Joe Rogan experience.
Correct.
And then of all people, this guy is guesting Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
He's guesting scientists. He's guesting Jordan Peterson eventually, and then you discover the fighters in Chael Sonnen. You think of cage fighters to be parang mga siga.
Right.
Tapos biglang what dropping knowledge na
Right.
parang mind blown ka talaga. So
Correct.
that's how ano.
So that's your origin story.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine. Per se. Yeah, I'm trying to prevent myself from wearing the claws, but I might wear it.
Yes.
Can I wear one?
Wear ahead, man.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
You
I
can
wanna
wear
break
both.
shit. Okay. I will do this tonight. Okay, guys. I'm gonna. By the way, we don't have weed. We are not like. Okay.
we
there you go.
yeah
Boom.
we have Johnny though.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
I don't want. I'm driving. Okay, we're
okay.
good. Right. We have donuts though. Right there.
Yeah.
It's the donuts.
Yeah. Pakita
I will
natin.
use this later to eat the donuts. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. This is awkward. I'll just put the claws here later because
Yeah.
I might break it. I let Thanos take care of the claws.
Ayun.
There you go. So yeah, we
Okay,
have a
so
friend Brontosaurus, Triceratops, and Thanos with us.
yeah. Okay, so how did you discover podcasts or what yun yung mga ganun.
Okay, my origin story comes from Me wanting always to be a radio DJ. Unfortunately, I never really gave it a chance. I knew I had a voice for it.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had a personality for it.
Mm-hmm.
But in college, I did audition for Magic 89.9 for a junior job,
Okay.
and I did.
And it
And
was
then
back in.
this back in 2007, 2008
Okay.
ish,
Okay.
right? And they told me I sounded like an announcer, so I never got a shot.
Well, aren't they announcers?
No, I know, but it sounded like I just sound like I just I didn't sound like I was for radio.
But announcing what?
I have no idea. Maybe I'm announcing whatever. Fucking, oh, there's no classes, guys. No, but that was it. And then after that, I kept that dream in the back pocket
Mhm.
because one thing that I really focused on, especially last decade, was hustling as an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay.
So I made several startups.
Mm-hmm.
To long story short, because we'll have the whole fucking thing. I created a nightlife app called guestlist.ph.
Ah, so that's what it is.
Yep.
What's a nightlife app?
So basically, the biggest problem that we were trying to solve before was it was so hard to get into a disco or a nightclub
Oh.
if you weren't on the guest list because you have to pay. And
Oh.
when you're on the guest list, you technically get in there for free.
Okay.
Okay, so and before I didn't know anybody to get me in the fucking guest list. It's like so everybody's lining up. They get in for free. I had to fucking pay. And
Okay.
I'm just a student. I only have
Mhm.
300.
Okay.
So the entrance is 200.
Mhm. Wala ka ng
100
Panginoon. Wala ka ng
exactly.
patoma.
No, it comes
Wala
with
ka ng
one San
panchicks.
Light. Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
If you happen to be lucky that night,
Ah.
where are you gonna bring them with 100? So it's really fucked up.
Ventilador papag na lang.
Correct. No, Jeep, and then probably get an ensaymada somewhere, balut. That's it. So it was fucked up, right? So I
Yeah.
said, maybe I can solve this problem. And then, long story short, I created a website that got that done during college. And
Okay.
then it grew, and I did some side jobs along the way. I started working when I was 18. Um, this is not how I normally talk.
Mhm.
This is was taught, right? I needed to sound like this because the way I sound outside is like Kong TV. I don't want to do that. Okay, I look like a kuya,
Well, ganun din ako,
right? So you gotta give yourself an edge at least on how credible you can be. That's why I speak English. That's why. And then that grew to become the biggest nightlife app in Asia. Was able to. I did that for 8 years, but it failed.
Eventually. But
Yeah,
but
I
it
lost everything.
oh really?
Yeah, and then it was so. And there's this always again. I hate talking about this, but it's the literal nail in the head or nail in the coffin was in 2016. There was a big event that happened.
Which one? I might
Close Up
know it.
Forever Summer, where
Okay.
5 people passed away.
Oh,
One of the
okay.
5 people was my co-founder,
Oh,
and
man.
he was also my investor. And we ran out of money. So it's really like one of the most fucked up things you can ever think of. So during that time, I had like 20 employees. We were at the peak because nightlife was really big. You have
Mhm.
events where we have like 30,000 people come in to one event on a rave. That's how many. And then of course, drugs happen,
Mhm.
right? Um, yeah.
So with law enforcement, you've had trouble too.
No. I've never done drugs.
Mhm.
I do there. I sell the tickets. Got people in.
Mhm.
I'm out. I'm a tito that way.
Mhm.
When you do it for a long time, it no longer becomes fun. It feels like work.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
True,
like
true.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
Right. So the one thing I look forward to is the rest after. I make more fun that way.
Mhm.
Like oh god, and it came to a point where if I close my eyes, I already know what the environment would be. I knew who I'm gonna see there.
Mhm.
I know what it feel like and whatnot. So it wasn't thrilling anymore. And I'm not saying it's not fun.
Yeah,
At,
yeah.
at a certain phase of a person's life,
Yeah.
you have that phase, the party phase.
Yes.
And then, but then I did that for a good 8 9 years. So like, oh god, I'm a graduate. I haven't been to a club for like 3 4 years now, and I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like,
that wasn't really my scene. I was
yeah,
more into the band thing.
sure.
But so I couldn't relate with the guest list.
Okay. So the guest list, that's what it was. So
Okay.
by using our app, Party File, You got into events for free
Mm-hmm.
and get on the clubs for free. So whatever shit you have, you can
Okay.
use it for better drinks. Or
Oh,
if you
I
get
see.
laid on that one, whatever. I'm hooking you up per se. I'm making
Oh,
your
okay.
life easier. If you don't know anybody, we got you. Party foul was the way,
Cool.
right?
Okay.
And then right after, what happened was, so I lost everything. Again, that's probably the lowest point by far in my life. What I did was I created another company called Chatbot PH.
Chatbot.
So we
Okay.
make chatbots. Basically, it's like creating Siri, but instead of it talking back to you, you put it in a Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Okay, yung parang sa mga
Yes.
Lazada.
Yes. No, but Lazada is not this smart yet. So, like the one in McDonald's, like the one in Beepcard, the
I
one in
see.
all this. So when you message, because people don't like to fucking wait now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yung
We
parang
train an AI.
Si G at Globe.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
you?
No, that's not. We didn't make that.
Okay.
I know who made it.
Okay, I see.
Um, we're all friends. Or again, just
Yeah.
like how it is in podcasting,
Yeah.
right? In the startup scene, um, there's not too many people in it, and
Mm-hmm.
you know who's legit and who's not.
Yeah.
But the last thing you want to do is make enemies,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all fighting the same fight.
Yeah.
And if we're all gonna drag us each other down, and that's how normally Filipinos are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, nothing's gonna
Unfortunately.
happen. Like, fuck, no, it's me first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay. Let's help you out. Let's do that. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And that's sort of like how I kind of live my life now, right? It's not about me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I was fortunate enough to get opportunities from people and whatnot. So, long story short, Chatbot PH. After I put it up, there's a lot of companies that signed up in the service. And then what happened was, after I put it up, I was able to sell it.
Okay. So you sold the company.
Yes, but I still run it till now.
Oh,
But the majority ownership is now owned by Sterling Paper Group.
I see.
Yeah.
So where does podcasting come in?
After I sold it, I started asking myself, now what? So what the fuck do I do? Right? I'm still running it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm adjusting. I've always wanted to chase something, and for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
longest
yeah.
time,
Mm-hmm.
all I wanted to do was chase something. It was my biggest carrot in my head was to buy my mom a house. And
Mm-hmm.
after I sold Chatbot PH,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to finally do that.
Cool.
So I was like,
Congratulations.
thank you. So I was like, now what? What the fuck do I do?
Okay.
Right? And I remember back in,
Buy your dad a house.
uh, I'm not cool with my dad. I'm cool with my dad, but I'm a illegitimate child, so that's what it is.
Oh, I
So
see, I see.
it's my mom who really raised me as a
Well,
single mom. So
that's fine.
we
Okay.
good, we
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
What up, dad? If you're doing this, but I owe everything to my mom. So
Okay.
what I did was fuck, I forgot what I did. So again, I asked myself,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
What should I be doing? Right. So the one thing that I didn't tick off yet is, I remember I wanted to be a DJ.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
that's like, fuck, maybe I should give that shit a chance. Now that should be fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? So last year, no, 2 years ago, around December, I joined this voice acting workshop
Mm-hmm.
by voice work. Shout out Pacholo Gonzalez. So I was like,
Okay.
all right, let me try this shit out, because if I'm gonna do something, I want to have the right fundamentals.
Uh-huh.
But I also remember the one thing that my mentor told me, that Ron, if you ever, shout out to Joji Azurin,
Mm-hmm.
he told me that, Ron, if you ever become successful, don't pay me back, pay it forward.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
what.
like, no, I won't be selfish with what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And with 10 years of experience of startup life, I wanted to be able to share that to everybody. That,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is how I fucked up. Don't fuck up like me. Right?
Okay.
I thought radio was going to be the way to do that. Apparently, it's not.
Okay.
So after I did the whole thing with the voice acting, they taught us some really good shit, like, what the mics are supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
how you should breathe, how you should do that. But also half of it was kind of useless for me, because they taught us how to dub, and I don't want to be a dubber.
Uh,
I don't want to be Doraemon.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I don't want to be the Damulag.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I don't want to be the next Damulag. I'm good. So I said, shit. So this is not cool. I started auditioning for radio stations. I never got a call back. So I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
Okay, maybe I'm too old
How do
because
you audition to a radio
no, they
station?
announce it. It's like, hey, just drop by the station, blah, 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 bring a CV, and then they make you read a spiel, and then make you like, hey, so you do a spiel, and then
Okay.
you introduce a fucking song.
Are they always looking for DJs?
I think so, but
Really?
there's only a window in your life that you can do that because most of the time they look for younger ones
Yeah.
because they don't want to pay top dollar. They
Yeah.
want to build them up kind
Mm-hmm.
of to become famous. And then also again the shelf life, just like showbiz, you can't be there forever.
Yeah.
You eventually have to move on. So I said, you know what, fuck this shit, right? If I'm gonna give it a chance, I'm gonna try to do it my way in a way where I will, I'll be comfortable. The mission is the same. I want to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about startup life, talking about business, talking about whatever. But I want to talk about the real shit. And if I'm gonna do that on radio, they're not gonna let me cuss the way I fucking cuss right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I said I taught myself how to the 101s of podcasting because I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted one,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt that after failing in my first business and now bouncing back with
Mm-hmm.
getting my other startup acquired, my story has become full circle.
When did you start listening to podcasts?
When I started Chatbot,
Okay. That
around
was
20, I know of podcasts from before, but I became a heavy user when Spotify started putting them
I
in. They
see.
weren't prominently putting it in. It's like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And my favorite one was Entree Leadership.
Okay.
So I was like, wow,
So
this.
so
I learned so much and I applied it in Chatbot that helped me got it acquired. It's like
oh,
maybe I can do that. The problem I always have is that there's no local stories. It's always some other dude in whatever country out there
oh
that I'm
nga
talking
eh.
to. It's like,
Di ba?
why the fuck? It's so hard to empathize where you don't have the same circumstances,
Yeah.
right? So it's like maybe I could be that guy.
Yeah.
I'll,
Well, that's also the thing that made me want to start the podcast
Mhm.
because well, me naman, I, before starting this podcast, I have kahit training eh.
Okay.
Wala akong kinalaman talaga sa ano, kapal ng mukha lang talaga
Yeah, yeah, and that's what
yung
you need.
puhunan
That's
ko.
number one, by
'Di
the
ba?
way. Right.
So parang I had no broadcasting training at all
Yeah.
whatsoever, any kind, even the slightest.
Mhm.
And I even have a lot of trouble speaking in public speaking is
True.
I'm not shy pero
Okay.
it's a skill that
It's a
you need to
totally different
develop eh.
animal, right?
Diba? Parang it's not that I'm shy because I used to sing in the band,
Sure.
so that's it's different, so I'm used
Right.
to
And you have a
facing a
whole
crowd.
act with you with the
Yeah.
tune and whatnot. So you're kind of enveloped in it.
Yeah. and uh and then I saw Joe Rogan, and
Mm,
then Joe Rogan is very relatable.
super.
Sure, he's a multi-billionaire,
And he
millionaire.
cusses
Yeah,
in real life like a fucking like a sailor. I love him.
yeah, and also, but then he gets to take these amazing people in his
Hmm.
show, and then I've always thought na parang when you go to let's say a Filipino, when you
Yeah.
go, if you wanna, let's say, learn about astrophysics, kunyari,
Sure.
science, or entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
madami kang mapapanood na videos sa ano eh, sa YouTube or podcast,
Yep.
any kind of media,
Hmm.
videos. Pero very rarely, especially a few years back, would you see a Filipino talking about it.
Nah.
'Di ba? Almost zero.
Nah.
So sa parang to me parang okay, it would be good if Filipinos can hear the same ideas from fellow Filipinos.
Exactly.
'Di ba? So parang it's parang I don't know. I think there's something there na parang Filipinos always say na magaling tayo, magaling tayo.
Right.
Pero nasan yung content natin, 'di ba?
Correct. And
So
that's the beauty about podcasts.
mhm.
Podcasts are supposed to be niche by default.
Mhm.
It's not massa. It's not mass media, right? It's so it there's always a group or a subgroup of whatever
Mhm.
that needs a voice.
Okay.
And podcasts, the way it's made, it's just long form content. It's not
Yes.
those quick 5 minute videos that you look to see on videos.
Exactly.
Here we go really deep.
Oo nga eh.
And the main intention of a podcast listener is very different than those people who go on any other whatever, because the main intention of a podcast listener is to learn.
Yeah.
entertainment comes second.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bonus,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, they want to learn. And it takes a certain maturity for a consumer to consume that content.
Yeah.
It's mostly, again, late 20s, early 30s. That's where the sweet spot is so far here in the Philippines based on our stats.
Really?
Yes.
So have you been tracking the stats?
So, okay, I'll track back to the story.
Okay.
So I started my own podcast called Hustleshare.
Yes.
And I said from day 1, this has to make money,
Okay.
because going from my business, the biggest resource I have is time.
Okay.
If I'm going to allocate time in here, I have to be compensated because I could use that time to make more money down the road.
Yes.
It has to pay me back at one point,
Okay.
right? So that was the main thing. I treated it as a business from day
Mm-hmm.
one. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to actively sell this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way we do it is, as most content creators, I saw this as the pattern. The same passion you have towards building um, the content should be the same passion you have in selling your content. And most content creators don't like selling their shit.
Oh, nga eh. Well, actually, that's one of my problems.
Right? Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, and me, my main hustle per se
Mm-hmm.
is selling shit, right? So it came natural. Like I want to be able to prove to myself
Mm-hmm.
that podcasting in the Philippines, talking about fucking startups
Mm.
in business,
It's a viable.
is good business in itself.
Mm.
So luckily, 10 episodes in after I launched. So again, I'm almost turning 1 year in this whole thing.
Really?
Literally around this time, I was asking in podcast BH, and shout out to Jay Christ.
J. Christ. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's the most active motherfucker out there, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, hey, do I use Anchor.fm or Libsyn? I didn't know shit, and I had to self teach myself
Mm-hmm.
on how to do it. I will watch a lot of videos. Pat Flynn, shout out to you. So you have amazing videos on how that's done,
Mm-hmm.
and applied it. I bought a mic,
Mm-hmm.
right? 2 mics, a pop filter in Lazada, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's
How small did you when you started?
very small. I only had one mic. I was like doing this,
Okay.
like a fucking it was so funny, but I loved it. I
Yeah.
was in my true form.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you hear on the podcast, whatever I see, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally me. And the conversations I get to have with fellow founders or
Mm-hmm.
fellow hustlers in
Yeah.
my own niche,
Mm-hmm.
again, are so true. And I said, fuck, so this can help a lot of people. And then what drives you, there's always quantitative and qualitative ways to do it, right? Quantitative, you look at your numbers increase, like, wow, okay, so there's a lot of people that fucking care about this.
Mm-hmm.
And the qualitative impact that you see is like when people randomly message you, like, you know what, I loved your show, I love how
Yeah.
it's so
That,
fucking satisfying. It
yeah.
keeps you, the fire just keeps burning so much,
Yeah.
right?
I could relate to that. And then when I started this show,
Mhm.
parang who gives a fuck if nobody watches, then so be it, diba? Parang,
Exactly.
and then eventually you gain followers, you gain people who,
Right,
but most of the time mga total strangers yung ano
right,
eh, diba?
right,
Your friends don't give a
right.
fuck.
Exactly. It's just like in any business,
Oo nga
the
eh.
worst people that would fucking support, the people would support you are not your friends,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so and then you well, this is the 77th
Wow.
episode. So, well, 70 episodes you may guess. So, I've met 70 more or less. Well, some made a repeat.
Right.
So, more or less around 60 new people
Wow.
and awesome people
Correct.
like you na who can I mean, I've made a lot of quality friends
Yes,
because of
correct.
the show.
And it's actually, and here's my kind of my secret. It's now a networking tool for me,
Mm-hmm.
because most people are like, "Hey, let's have coffee."
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck that. Let's
Oo
get
nga.
you on the podcast. Let's talk shit, because it's the same conversation anyway.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that we're recording this, and that information exchange that we're having
Mm-hmm.
is not just limited to us now. Anybody can go out there on their best time, can actually go there and consume it and
True.
learn. And if they didn't catch it right one time, oh, guess what? They can come back and listen to it again.
Yes, just
Right?
continue, right?
Correct.
Oh. So it's fascinating how because back 5 years ago you can't do this.
Nah.
Na, 'di ba? Wala pa yung mga ano eh. I don't know. I'm not aware if you could. Well, Joe Rogan was able, but he's
Uh-huh.
Joe Rogan.
Correct, correct.
But
But podcasting was an Apple thing. The term podcasting is actually
yes,
derived from iPod
iPod.
and broadcasting.
Mhm.
The biggest catalyst of why this became big as big as it is now, and it's not the future, it is now, by the way.
Yes, true.
There's two things. First one is mobile.
Mhm.
Back then, who would have thought that you can listen to radio type content on that? Yes, iPhone users had
Mhm.
because it was an Apple thing,
Mhm.
but it really like blew out of proportion when Spotify adopted it because Spotify,
Really?
yeah,
Really? So it blew up even
when
more after.
Spotify did it. It was
Okay.
Spotify, to the fact that Spotify actually acquired two companies last year and one already this year.
Mhm.
They bought Anchor
Mhm.
so that people can create podcasts for free.
Mhm.
Second thing is they bought a podcast network, Gimlet Media,
Mhm.
to populate the content. And then this year they also bought another one, The Ringer. They spent around $400 million already in
Wow.
podcast related companies in the
Okay.
States only. All right. So the reason why they do that is because they've kind of maxed out on songs,
Yeah, oo nga eh, 'di
right?
ba?
Where are you gonna put an ad on a song? And let's just face it, media, the only way you can monetize really consistently is ads. Unfortunately,
True,
the
true.
beauty about podcasts, though, is the ads on a podcast, if it's positioned properly and it's the right brand for the right content,
Mhm.
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
not a hard sell. It's not now. Di lang pampamilya.
Oo nga, 'di ba?
Or Star Wax, Star Wax. It's not like that shit, right? If you match the right content with the right brand,
Mhm.
it sounds like, wow, that's amazing. You kind of like it. The
Mhm.
persuasion, the power it gives to the user and to the listener
Mhm.
is very strong.
Yeah, and also it's an opportunity for startup companies as well.
Correct.
'Di
That's
ba?
always the lowest hanging fruit.
'Di ba? So
The ones who are most eager to invest in this type of medium are startups, which
eh,
are also, luckily, most of them are my friends.
uh,
So I was like, come here, fucking invest here, and whatnot.
and also the internet-based businesses as well, 'di
Correct.
ba? 'Di ba? So kasi
They
nasa
understand
internet eh.
digital media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about um or do you want to add more about Hustle
Yeah,
Share?
I hustle share. The main it's actually connected to PNA, to Podcast Network Asia.
Mhm.
So remember, when I created it, the main mindset I always had is I want to make money and I want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
So I looked around after 10 episodes, like, wow, okay, someone advertised $800.
Wow.
I was like, okay, this is serious shit. This is awesome. 10 episodes in, $800,
Damn.
right? I was like, okay, let's do it. So I
You got to
started
teach me how to do that, man.
exactly $800 for a few, for like three months. I was like, oh, this is nice passive income. I
Yeah.
can keep doing this.
Yeah.
But I said again, pay it forward.
Mhm.
I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be the only guy who actually monetizes his podcast.
Mhm.
So I looked around. It's like, who else is doing this?
Mhm.
Right? So good thing I'm good friends with Monica of the Eavesdrop. So I met with her, like, yo, are you guys monetized?
Mhm.
So again, I discovered three, and I started looking around,
Mhm.
asking people what their problems were.
Okay.
There's three. First one, not everybody sounds the same.
Yeah.
Some people sounds
Yeah.
like they're in a fucking the seventh level of hell,
Mhm.
in Dante's Inferno.
Mhm.
Some people sound like they're in the fucking bathroom because it's not consistent. It's not mastered properly. Especially if you're a musician, you get it. It should.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the good measure of how a podcast should sound is if you're listening to a song on Spotify and it sounds good at whatever level you're in, and you play a podcast, you should not adjust the volume anymore. It
Okay.
should be mastered,
Okay.
right? Like a proper song, if you record it,
Mhm.
right, should
Mhm.
be mastered,
Mhm.
right? That's it. So people don't know that because they did it amateurly. I was able to learn that because I again spent a lot of time teaching myself doing that.
Mhm.
Second thing, they don't know how to monetize. Again, nobody
Yeah.
likes to sell their shit, and what I don't want to see is that podcasters
Mm-hmm.
get taken advantage of. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we'll give you 5,000 for 5 episodes. Like, fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Right?
Oh.
Because you know the value. So I did a lot of research
Mm-hmm.
on how podcasts in the States price their shit.
Oh, okay.
And again, with a little bit of again experience on how to sell digital content, digital media, because of me being in the startup industry, I knew the bandwidth of how much uh, uh, brands are willing to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, and the most important thing, most podcasters don't know their audience.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say don't know their audience, they don't look at their analytics, they don't look at their reports, blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. They assume. So when they assume and you don't know who actually listens to you on a regular
Mm-hmm.
and what those stats are, how are you gonna tell that brand that this is my audience and this
Ah,
is how
yeah,
I
yeah.
cut through?
Mm, okay.
Because the brands don't just invest in the content that you produce;
Mm-hmm.
they invest on your numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the another main problem is how to get I mean, how to distribute your podcast
Correct.
better,
Correct.
how to get more listeners,
Correct. And
basically.
marketing and whatnot.
Uh
So
huh.
that's when I thought of creating the Podcast Network Asia. So
Mm-hmm.
this is not an original idea. I'm going to tell you now,
Yeah.
right? I've been watching how Gimlet does it, how Wondery does it, how these other podcast networks in the States does it. What they provide is those three, actually four. There's a fourth level. So they provide the equipment
Mm-hmm.
for people to thrive. They provide monetization so
Mm-hmm.
that again whoever those ones are get monetized and
Yeah.
they get to um, paid for their time because it's out of love.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to see someone that, you know what, I'm not gonna do content right now. Life got hard. I had to. Someone got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first thing that gets out of the window when
Mm-hmm.
shit gets hard is the one that doesn't make money.
Yeah.
Always,
Yeah. Yeah.
always, right?
True. True.
And lastly, right? Again, analytics. That's my background. I know where to get it. The
Mm-hmm.
problem with podcasts is like unlike YouTube, where upload it on YouTube, you consume it on YouTube, you can get all the stats there.
Yeah.
In a podcast, there's like 2 dozen apps that it spreads it to, so you have to fucking get it for everyone.
Oh, nga, no.
Like, ah, god damn it, it's so hard, right? And then lastly, they cross promote their shows because it's so hard to already to get one listener to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't follow you or they didn't really subscribe to you,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be hard to get them back. But what if you can actually help another podcast cross promote their show if they actually like it too? So it's a
Mm-hmm.
community thing.
Yeah. That's how it should be, right?
Correct. And again, I looked at it like this is paying it forward because nobody is stepping up.
Exactly.
Right now, I also looked around and said, do I really want to create content or do I want to empower the content makers?
Mm.
And I realized I don't really give a fuck what type of content's out there
Mm-hmm.
because as content creators, that's yours, and I will never touch it. The same way I'm protective of my own content. Nobody can
Mm-hmm.
tell me what the fuck I should do. It's
Yeah.
my own
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
right? I'll take feedback, yes,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna tell me, hey, do your show like this, fuck that shit,
True.
right? So I said, okay, maybe let's look around. Who can we help monetize right away? And then I discovered something.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the top 200 podcasts in the Philippines, only 15 to 20% are Filipino made.
Really?
Yeah, it's that low.
So how 20 200 the top
Podcasts, only
podcast in
15
the
to
Philippines.
20% are only 15 to 20% are Filipino made. Meaning there's a lot of podcast consumption, not enough content.
Yeah, I see. I see.
And
I
we did
see.
our math, our guesstimate. This is not official, so
Guesstimate.
Spotify. Our guesstimate is around 3 million podcast listeners per month.
Really in the
Yeah,
Philippines?
that's 3% of our population, more or less.
Wow. That's mind blowing to me.
Correct. And those 3 million are not consuming Filipino content. Why the fuck not?
Oh, you know.
So that's the mind blowing thing, right? So that's why I said maybe we should empower people that want to create and have a voice and represent that their community to create. That's why I created PNA,
Okay.
because by providing the supply, I know that there's a demand.
Mm-hmm.
You need to match that demand with proper local content.
Do you have a demographic for that 3 million?
It's widespread, but again, knowing our stats across the network,
Mm-hmm.
that's already again around 28 to 34.
Okay.
They're affluent,
Mm-hmm.
they're tech savvy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're thirsty for learning.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're middle class and above,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because by the fact that they know that there's a podcast,
Oo nga eh, di ba?
right?
Just sometimes yung sinasabi ko eh, parang of course I'm just really passionate in creating the content.
Mhm.
And parang to me this is I don't know, this is I don't even know what to call it.
Right,
Basta it's something that I enjoy profoundly
right. And
when
what
I
I
do it.
what I tell podcast creators, your podcast is a business,
Mm.
right? It should pay you back at one form or another. Now, again, I ask myself, how can I help everybody, right? Because I'll admit, not everybody can get. I cannot support everybody on the podcast on the production side
Mm-hmm.
because always at the back of my head, I have to ROI at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But how do I help everybody that wants to fucking get the same amount of perks minus the production? So I said, oh, I'll create another startup. So I'm creating. First time I'm gonna fucking say this.
Oh, okay.
We're
A
creating an
TPKP
analytics
exclusive.
platform and an advertising platform
Adver-
for local and Asian podcasters. So all the stats that you care about, whether it's from Anchor, whatever fucking host you have, whether it's YouTube, whether
mm-hmm.
it's Facebook on your website, whatever, you can aggregate all of that into one platform, and we're gonna call it Podmetrics.
Podmetrics. Can you repeat that? So what you anong ginagawa nitong Podmetric
It
nito?
aggregates all the data that you should care about.
So parang hindi
So
ko na
you don't have to
kailangan ng
go there anymore. We
I
will fucking
see.
aggregate everything already.
Kumbaga,
It's not yet there. We
okay, I
haven't.
see.
So again, I'm leaking it out now. It's gonna be called Podmetrics.
Well, I don't think anyone else is doing that right now. So,
No, because again, I'm having such a fucking hard time
mm-hmm.
getting all the numbers because I have to get it manually. So with Podmetrics, any podcaster now will then be able to know their audience in
Mm-hmm.
depth.
So this is Podcast Network Asia,
Right.
your website, right? Okay.
Correct. So that's the production side and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We again, that's not we can't accommodate everybody here because
Okay.
there's costs in studio time, production, whatever.
Yes.
But
So,
for us, if we once Podmetrics is out, it doesn't matter who makes the content now. Because once that's out, now I will be able to identify, oh, you know what? The powerful Comicsman podcast has this amount of YouTube listeners, blah, 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 blah. I can now approach a brand like, hey, brand, do you want to invest in that podcast?
wow. Yes, please.
Exactly.
Yes, please, brands.
Right? Because
Oh.
now I don't care who makes the content. Even here's an example, like Puma Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
Puma Podcast.
consider anyone competitors because we're on the same boat.
Yes.
I don't care if there's 15 fucking sports podcasters out there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I care about is your numbers. Because if you improve your numbers and you're consistent in what you do, I can sell that shit for you. And the way we do it, when we do have an advertiser, you get the lion's share. When you say lion's share, let's just, on an average, we get around, say, 100,000, for example.
Uh,
70% goes to you.
okay.
So I'm already doing the dirty work, and you get the big chunk of the pie,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
right? And the way we do it is we want to price it the right way, for you'll be happy. Because if you don't have a fucking rat's ass of
Yeah.
how you're gonna price that, like
It's not gonna be worth it.
exactly, and you're like, you know what? I feel like I'm getting taken advantage.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is it like this?
Well,
Right?
actually, that's also one of the. Well, actually, most for the most part, I'm
Mm.
just really. I just don't know. One, I don't know where to start,
Mm.
and one second, I'm kumbaga, I'm not sure how to sell it kasi
Exactly.
it's kumbaga, how much number do I need before
Correct.
I could approach anyone,
Correct.
and also parang if I let's say may kumagat
Mm.
tapos parang hindi ako masaya dun sa offer niya, parang
Mhm.
parang nakakainis lang, 'di ba?
Exactly. Now we're here to set that standard, and we're very transparent of where we get it.
Mhm.
Okay, like for example, the lowest, the basis for how that's computed in the states, it's CPM. It's
What's that?
cost per mil. Mil, MILLE, is the Latin word for 1,000.
Okay.
So cost per 1,000
1,000 what?
listens, impressions.
Oh, I see.
So the average cost, it hovers from 15 CPM cost per mil to 22 as a baseline. That's a floor.
15
Dollars.
$15.
So basically, the only time you earn your 15 fucking dollars is when you get 1,000 listens. Isn't
Oh,
that unfair? It's unfair because only a few podcasts in the Philippines have those kind of
yes,
numbers,
true.
right? So it's the same methodology, but we dice it up to a point where you get paid per play. It's like pay per view. We
Oh,
do it pay
yeah.
per play.
But even at $15, that's still better than how much YouTube pays, right?
Exactly.
'Di ba?
Exactly. Because what we want to be able to do is get you the best deal.
Wow.
Because we have, again, I have the network with the brands
Mhm.
already, right? Why the fuck not, right? If say a beer brand wants to invest on all these podcasts, the only thing that will vary is the price per play, depending on the tier that they're in.
Okay.
And again, it's all gonna be numbers driven.
Mhm.
Now, in order for me to understand your numbers, you have to use Podmetrics. Because if we don't both understand your numbers, how the fuck are we
Mhm.
gonna sell it?
How do you get into Podmetrics?
Once we release it, probably around Q2,
Mhm.
there's a early sign up for beta testers. It's easy. You just need to sign up like it's fucking lag. It's Facebook.
So I'll be one of your guinea
Let's
pigs.
do this. Let's do this. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. That
Mhm.
as much as possible, again, I cannot help everybody in the PNA side because there's I can only accommodate so much. But
PNA
on
Podcast Network. Okay.
right when helping you with the production side,
Mhm.
but for everybody else, yo,
Mhm.
it's the same monetization fucking scheme,
Mhm.
and uh, it's the same metrics. And you know what? How much you have to pay for this?
Yeah. How much? Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
free.
So you don't need to it's not a
No,
subscription.
it's like Google Analytics.
Oh.
So that's how, again, paying it forward works. Because if I'm gonna be a selfish son of a bitch,
Mhm.
why will I fucking? This is a
So
great.
how are you going to make money?
To make money is like, I help by helping everybody make money.
So
I
you have a
Yes,
cut. Ah, yeah,
correct.
I see.
But you get the lion's share.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's okay lang 'yon. Good naman talaga eh. If you have enough or a lot of people where you
Correct.
get that money, then it'll be big bucks pa rin.
Exactly. So
Eh,
you look at it at scale, right?
mhm.
So we're your salesman, the
Yeah.
powerful salesman podcast.
you're, you're gonna rebrand now.
Yeah.
But well, that's why I was really looking forward to this episode. Because
Mhm.
me, I'm an artist. I
Yeah.
don't give shit
Correct.
most of the time at
And a
least.
lot of content
And
creators are like this, by the
mhm,
way. Yeah. But let's sell your shit.
mhm.
Won't you want to make money out of something you do out of love?
Yes, well, I've been planning to do that, but the thing is, I can't get it
Correct.
'di ba?
Mhm.
Off the ground, and
Yeah.
it's parang yun nga katulad ng sinabi ko
Mhm.
parang I don't want people to parang hindi ko alam kung alam ba nila yung podcast, 'di ba?
Mhm.
What kind of value
Correct.
does it give for the company or
Mhm.
ganyan, and
There is. Correct.
can you to those brands who might listen,
Right.
how can podcast help them?
It's simple. It's matching the right demographic and the right audience with your
Mhm.
brand. So we always ask, okay, so what's your target market? That's why it's important that I know your demographic as a podcast,
Mhm.
because it's all about matching. It's like Tinder.
Mhm.
Like you match this with this.
Oo nga.
I was like, okay, so this podcast, their listeners are mostly 28 to 34 male.
Mhm.
And I say Sanmig, for example.
Ah.
Boom,
I see.
match.
So that's basically marketing 101, 'di
Right.
ba?
Correct. But you have to set the right parameters. Because if it's Wild Wild West and you
Mm.
name your price, you're
Mm.
gonna get fucked as a content creator because you don't have leverage.
What do you mean by parameters?
Like again, where the hell did you get your pricing?
Ah,
And
okay.
for us, we figured that out, and
It's
this is something.
the per play. Okay,
Yes,
I see.
but that all happens automatedly. Because if we're gonna do that mano mano, good luck.
Oo nga, no?
We're doing that now, mano mano. We're dying. This
So,
we
right
have
now,
25 shows. Okay,
yeah.
fucking shit.
How
Like,
many 25 shows right now
yeah, on
under
TNA.
podcast
Yeah,
network. Cool.
it's and we just started in September. I was like, fuck, we're dying, guys.
Okay,
That's
what
why.
what have I done?
No, no, it's good. It's a good problem to have.
Well, of course.
And one thing that I'm very proud of now is that everybody has been monetized the proper way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I delivered on the promise that hey, trust me, you guys are gonna make money, right? So last season, Pay Maya sponsored all our shows,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very happy. So watch out. They're
Wow.
don't pay cash, pay Maya. There. So it's all for this. Again, I want to be able if we were able to do it for our shows, I don't see a reason why I shouldn't be able to help out more podcasters down
Mm-hmm.
the road. And the vision is that's why we called it Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Is we want to create the formula here
Mm-hmm.
that we can scale
Oh,
overseas in
mhm.
Southeast Asia.
Are you the only ones doing this in
In the with
in
the tech
Southeast
play,
Asia?
yes. Again, we don't care who makes it. So if it's another network, fine.
Yeah.
You'll need our shit anyway.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm
you compete with yourself, diba? Not
correct.
with
We're
the.
I'm providing you a tool that
Mm-hmm.
will also help you. If you want to sell your
Mm-hmm.
shit with using our platform, fine. It's all
Mm-hmm.
good. Let's just do a rev share,
Mm-hmm.
right? You make money, we make money. We're all happy.
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful thing about this because you can consume it at different times.
Correct.
Unlike in traditional media, pag
Mm.
magkasabay yung Mara Clara at saka kung ano man yung
Yeah.
katapat niya dati, isa lang yun. Isa lang yun.
Mara
Ang
Clara.
taga-
What the fuck?
Di
It
ba?
shows your age. You should have at least said some other shit like provinciano.
Probinsyano. Pero yun nga, di ba?
Oh
Kasi, well,
man.
dun kasi yung panahon na yun, yun yung talagang, ano eh,
Yeah.
nagputo lang, magsaksakan yung
Everything's on
ABS
demand
eh, di
now.
ba?
That's it. Movies
Oh,
are on demand.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Netflix, fucking music,
Spotify, yeah.
Spotify, podcast is the same thing.
Yes.
And the beauty about Spotify again, that's why I love how they did it, is people consume their audio shit through where their music is. They don't have to switch another app
Mm-hmm.
to listen to a podcast. It's within the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, true, true. Oo nga, kasi sa Apple, ewan ko bakit nila pinatay yung iTunes, no? Humaba tuloy yung bigla Apple Podcast, di ba?
Yeah.
Apple Music. Okay na yung iTunes eh.
Uh, ever since Steve Jobs died, everything just got weird. Right.
Oo nga eh. Anyway, bahala sa buhay nila. Pero these are exciting times because
It
this
is.
is the thing with podcasting. I don't know if you would agree, but since this is a budding industry,
Mhm.
and I guess you can say that there's no way to go but up,
Absolutely. And the
diba?
best way to go is together.
Yes,
We're not supposed to be. We're not
competitors.
No, no, no. Let's collaborate.
You're not getting it if that is your mentality. That's what
Right.
I think.
If you want to
Diba?
isolate yourself, yo, chill. We're not trying to kill you here.
Oo
We're
nga
trying to
eh.
actually help. Right. So
Or
whether
at least
it
coexist at the very least.
correct, dude. At the end of the day, the best industries also in the world are also good friends, even if they compete.
Mhm.
It's healthy competition. Like you know how the the oil companies do it.
Mhm.
They're competing for the same fucking market share,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, they're all friends.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
The banks are like that too. Blah blah blah.
Oo nga eh.
Right?
Imagine mo kung halimbawa, magkakaiba yung produkto nung
Right.
Shell, Petron. Kumbaga hindi ka pwedeng, kung mawalan ka ng gasolina.
Exactly. Oh, what?
Hindi
I
ka
only have
pwedeng
kerosene now.
doon ka lang sa...
No unleaded, right? So those things, and for us again, our play here really is okay. There is a production side of it. The only reason why we also created the production side first is because there's not enough shows.
Enough
Again,
shows?
only 15 to 20% is Filipino made out of the top 200.
Yeah.
A lot of people consume fucking content, not enough shows. So if you're listening to this right now
Hmm.
and you want to create a podcast, go ahead and do it now.
Do you have a number of how many local podcasts are there?
I cannot track it if they're not ranking.
Oh, okay.
And that's also
How
why,
much are ranked?
again, 15 to 20% on any given day.
15
Right.
to 20% of all
Of
podcasts
200. Top 200.
sa Pilipinas pa lang. I
Yes.
see.
Right. So this, by getting Podmetrics also, it provides us the ability to now measure the industry as a whole. If
Mm.
you industry as a whole, then you can tell a brand like, yo, you know what? Brand, what's your budget?
Mhm.
5 million? Okay, what demographic do you want to get? Then we'll just run it. Toot, 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 toot.
Wow, that's amazing.
So these are the shows you need to invest.
Do you need more investors?
We are. So we're talking already to get more people. Because again, the vision is not to just do it in the Philippines.
Hmm.
In the Philippines, guys, if this becomes the if it's materializes the way we thought of it,
Hmm.
the chip on our shoulder is there's no Filipino startup who has successfully scaled overseas. It's always some other country's app. Grab is Singaporean, Malaysian.
Ah,
Uber
okay.
is fucking Israeli. I mean, is American.
Hmm.
Uh, sorry. And then, oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh, there. I'm making out with the ship. We
yeah.
can ASMR now. There you go. So, yeah, there's a lot. Just name it. Most of it are overseas. It's not Filipino
Hmm.
going out. And for us, I believe, again, I'm heavily biased, so don't take my word for it. We are the best storytellers in Asia.
Mm,
We have
of course.
the best again, diction. We're great in English,
Hmm.
right? But we want to be able to share that to the world with a formula that can be replicated all over Asia, at least.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying kanina na parang we always brag that we are the best of this, and then alam mo yun, we don't win Oscars, we don't win we don't win Grammys, 'di ba? Parang we got to step up at least and prove it
Right.
at one point.
Right. And there's more to us than singing and dancing. I mean, I'm not hating on that. We're all great
Of
at that.
course, of course.
Right. But Filipinos can also be great at business. They're also be great in other
Artists
medium,
and
arts, whatever.
comics.
Right. There's so many budding things. It's just that we're not noisy about it.
Oo nga eh,
We're
no?
always different. Like, I'm shy. What if they don't?
And then there's this thing that we're always parang looking to get employed by companies, 'di ba? Parang we
Mm.
don't do our we don't pursue our own shit, 'di
Correct.
ba?
Correct.
That's what I love about podcasting, because you can be I don't need to
You are your own
apply.
boss.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
need to apply to a radio station, to ABS-CBN, or to
Yeah.
kung saan man 'yan, 'di
Mhm.
ba? And then if I all I need to do is hustle,
Correct.
and if
And be consistent.
yeah. So
Well,
so how has it been working with these different podcasters?
it's been fun, to say the least, because like eavesdrop, boiling waters, whatever. These are people that you
who,
don't.
who are these podcasts?
So the top ones, obviously, number one show in the Philippines consistently
Mm-hmm.
is Boiling Waters. They,
Boiling Waters.
yeah, they talk about love advice, hugot,
Wow.
and whatnot.
It's not Who Got Radio.
No, no, no.
Okay, okay.
Shout out to you too, by the
Yeah,
way. I haven't met him yet. Oh,
Ron
Ron
Knight. I've
Knight.
been inviting him, but
Oh, wow.
he lives. He has a relative
Okay.
around this place, so
Okay. Ron
yeah.
Knight. Show up.
Uh,
The Dark Knight. All right. Boiling Waters, and the next best one is in terms of rankings.
mhm,
Again, in no particular order, but I'm just doing it of what I remember from rankings.
mhm.
Is the Eavesdrop. So that's Delamar,
Ah, yeah.
Jelly, and
But
Monica.
isn't that radio as well?
They were former radio.
But
They're they're,
they're
they're
not
no
on
longer in
air.
radio.
Oh,
No,
okay, I
they
see.
were all former RX 93.1.
Yeah. Are these also in video, or
Not all. So
not?
the one that's in video. So we're competing. I think they're still on right now. It's
Uh-huh.
the Cool
Cool
Pals.
Pals.
Yeah, the crazy guys from the Cool
Oh yeah.
Pals.
Well,
Right.
Yun, astig niya mga cool
Yeah.
pals.
Yeah, they're Comedy Manila. They're
Yeah.
stand-up comedians.
Yeah, I've had some stand-up comedians here.
Mhm.
Mga tropa rin nila.
Yeah, they're
No.
they're they're nice.
Yeah.
They
And they're really good.
yeah, and fun.
Oh.
You know what? Imagine you're getting all these funny shows on a weekly basis, so that's good.
Oo nga eh.
Right. So the next one is Halo Halo Show. They're current radio DJs, but they do it outside of the current radio setup that they have. And of course, the craziest one in our family,
Hmm?
the Kudazers. Ah!
To Dazzers,
Dude,
I've seen their posts pero hindi pa ako nakapanood.
you know how crazy they are.
What kind of podcast is that?
They talk about the the issues of Gen Z. So here, I'll tell you a
Gen Z.
backstory.
Oh,
Yeah, so they're not millennials anymore. They're
yeah,
younger
Gen Z.
than millennials.
College
That's Gen
students.
Z, right? College students, yuppies.
Uh,
I don't know if they even use that word now. So on one of their episodes, I always scout the rankings.
mhm.
I was like, who the fuck are these guys?
Mhm.
And I listened. You know what they were talking about?
What?
Anal sex.
Oh,
What the fuck is this? But I like it because they're so brave about it.
yeah.
And like- and that's the beauty about podcasting.
Mhm.
It's so intimate that if you watch that on video, you'd
Mhm.
be fucking embarrassed.
Mhm.
In a podcast, it's fair game. You can be in a fucking transportation and they're like, yo,
Send
that's
them
fine.
over.
Right. So I said, let's do it. I wanted to get them in. And they hustle so much. They at least upload 3 episodes per week.
Per week. Wow.
It's fucking crazy.
I'm trying to do the same. Aside from
Yeah.
these episodes with guests,
Mhm.
the long form one,
Mhm.
I'm experimenting on. I'm trying to do a daily
Mm.
upload. Sometimes even a few videos per
Mhm.
day whenever I can.
Yeah.
Diba? Kasi sometimes you just like we're talking about something and then there's
Right.
an issue that's lingering na
True.
'di ba parang na parang off naman na pag-usapan natin ngayon, 'di
Correct.
ba? Diba?
Correct.
So I'm trying to
No, and
diba?
finding time and consistency is always the challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you don't do any other things. The thing
Mm.
is, the sad reality is, in the Philippines, there's no such thing as a full-time podcaster yet.
Yeah. Well, how would you define a full-time podcaster?
You make your money through that. Your main,
That is your main
your
bread and
main,
butter.
correct,
I see. I
correct.
see.
Like in
Even you?
no,
Ah, okay, because
I,
you have you have other
dude,
businesses, right?
I don't have enough fucking time, bro. Like chatbot, I do that, and then PNA, I do it at night and
Uh-huh.
whatnot. So imagine how. Just look at it. The best comparable that I see are YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
we get to a fraction of how much YouTubers make on their type of content, and we're here doing our shit, that's gonna be amazing.
Oh, nga, no?
And they can afford to live the life that they have now
Mm-hmm.
because they started very early when nobody told
True,
them
true,
that,
true.
yeah, what is a YouTuber,
Oh,
what is that, what are you doing? The same thing we are going through now is like, what the fuck is a podcast,
yes.
right?
That's why it's so exciting. Diba?
Yeah, because we've seen a different vertical now. The only difference is that they do video,
Well,
right?
podcast is had been big, huge already
Right.
in other parts of the world
Correct.
before, but here it's just starting up.
Yep.
So I've been saying now, year 2020s will be the golden year of
Yeah.
the golden
And it's
age
just
of Pinoy podcasting.
correct, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger
Mm-hmm.
because as more people do it, as more popular people do it, there's gonna be, it's gaya mentality.
Oo nga eh.
But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, the ones that's gonna remain are the ones who are consistent
Yes.
and are really passionate
Yeah.
about this.
And the ones who will eventually become great, diba?
Correct.
So that's why you don't need to also worry that there are lots of shows coming up
So what?
because some of them
Right.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong about it, pero
Mhm.
if you want to try it, I fully support
Mhm.
everybody who wants to get their kumbaga, pumunta dito sa trip na to.
Correct.
But eventually, not it's not for everyone.
No, true,
'Di ba?
true, absolutely.
'Di ba? So, may mga hindi okay, masaya lang siya sa una,
Right.
'di ba? And then eventually they're gonna find something else to do
Mm-hmm.
that they would enjoy more,
Correct.
'di ba? And then those who would remain would be the good ones talaga, or
Mm-hmm.
and the most passionate and the most kumbaga talagang pinag-isipan nila yung
It's a long game,
yeah.
right? This is not a, oh, you're just here to be, because number one, we don't get viral. Podcasters don't get viral. Yeah, okay, sometimes
Mhm.
we kind of do, but
Mhm.
because since it's a form that's not visual by
Mhm.
default, it's not gonna be like a YouTube. Oh, there's a viral scandal video.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
like that. People actively invest their time when they listen to a podcast, so they must be really interested when they listen.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, so that's what it is, right?
Oh.
So that's how, again, I just basing it off of the very few data that we have, uh, and how it. I mean, there are always gonna be like amazing episodes that's gonna go through
Mhm.
the roof, but when you average it out, as a podcast gradually grow, not like boom hockey stick,
Yeah.
right?
How about the mainstream media? How do you think the Philippine mainstream media would react to when the podcast starts picking up here?
It's good that they're skeptical.
Like how are they? Do you have some inside info
Yeah,
about this?
so I do. I can't announce it yet, but we're
Okay.
working with a radio station
Mm-hmm.
to transition all their shows into turn
Oh.
it to also a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that, right?
Why what you said skeptical? What do you mean skeptical?
Because not everybody's understand. So as a podcaster, it's still easy for us to penetrate it um under the radar. Because imagine if a big media company pumps a lot of money here, creating podcasts are not that expensive. Let's admit it,
Oo nga eh. Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone creates a fucking boom and just all of a sudden floods the whole fucking thing with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
then it's gonna get crowded.
Mm-hmm.
By the time that happens, you should have built your own audience already. And
Mm-hmm.
don't hate if someone's also doing it on your category. It's
Yeah.
great
Oo nga
because
eh.
you can actually collaborate with them.
Exactly.
They are not competition. You're not after the same fucking airtime. You
Yes.
can share the same audience,
True, true.
right?
Like that's also what I noticed watching Joe Rogan. He has his friends. Everybody
Yeah,
has podcasts now.
exactly.
It started with just Joe, and then the other comedians noticed, wow, Joe is doing really
Exactly.
well, and then
I started doing
one
it
by
too.
one they started doing it, and now they just it's an ecosystem,
Correct.
and they all thrive. Those who
Exactly.
all you just need to do is to be consistent and basta keep doing it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
listen to feedback, tweak every once in a while and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the day, your message will cut through with people that can relate. It's always about those people that can relate to your message,
Mhm.
right? You don't have to please everybody. This
Mhm.
is not mass media, right? It's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be niche by default.
Would you think there would be a time when the mainstream media would be threatened by kasi maybe kasi right now on YouTube and in other podcasts
Yeah,
I listen to a lot of commentaries,
yeah,
some political in YouTube and
right.
'di ba? And then I don't I don't even trust the the mainstream media
Right,
anymore. Parang these are yan na yung mga mas pinapakinggan ko eh. And I
right,
think there's more truth in what they're saying than what you read or see on TV.
correct.
'Di ba?
At the end of the day, it provides a voice to more people.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of credibility, that's under the discretion of the listener. You have to comprehend if this guy is actually credible, because with the ecosystem now, not everybody now has a voice,
Mhm.
but not all voices are smart. Not
Yes.
all voices are actually fact
Reasonable.
checking. That's why
Uh-huh.
fucking fake news is all over the place, and
Mhm.
people believe all the bullshit that they hear
Mhm.
because they never cross check. And that's why we're so susceptible to fucking propaganda.
Mhm. So
Because
are you a data scientist or is
no,
that your
I'm an entrepreneur. I sell shit, bro. That's what I do.
but you have background in
Again, through the startup ecosystem, the way we make decisions over what shit to build, is always numbers driven.
computer programming, something like that?
I do
No.
not know how to learn how to
Really?
code. Yeah, but you
Really?
just need to educate yourself of how things work.
I see.
My
Wow.
job majority of the time is really to explain how it works and make it easy for people to understand, especially those people that write checks
Mm-hmm.
to understand. So that's how I do it.
I see. I
Right.
see. Oh,
Mm.
that's amazing. And I was I think I read it or somebody told me that you entered a contest.
Yeah, the final pitch.
I haven't seen that show. Was it on TV or what?
Yeah, it was. It's on CNN Philippines last year. It's actually on YouTube now. If you check it out, the final pitch season 4.
Final pitch ang
Yeah.
title. Nahanap ko ano ba
So
'yun?
it's like Shark Tank. It's like The Apprentice and
Yeah.
Shark Tank combined. So we pitch investors there and to get funding. So I got the funding of Podcast Network Asia
Yeah.
there, so
Through
that
there.
again so I can hire a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's just me, how the fuck am I gonna support 25 podcasts on myself?
Exactly.
So I needed some
I can't
resources.
even do it on one show,
Right,
my
it's
end.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. So I created so just to be able to buy equipment, a studio,
Uh-huh.
everything. So for the community to thrive.
I was told also, and I also saw some posts, di ba, na you're doing your uh, at least some of your shows in this one place.
Right. Yes, it's in We Remote in Metro Walk.
It's a co-working
Yes.
space.
Correct.
Is that also included in your?
Yeah, when you're part of the network, we provide everything end to end, edit from pre-prod all the way to post-prod.
But then there would still be parang other customers who use it
Yeah,
for
you can. Actually, it's We Remote's facility,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know what to do with it, to be honest. Right? But we have our own facility equipment, like the roadcaster
Yeah.
that we build and whatnot. That's ours.
How many shows do you guys do in a day? Do you schedule it?
There, yes, there are days that are crazy. Like today, we had like 4 or 5. Um, it's super crazy now. But there are days where it's slower. A lot of the recordings happening on the week are happen on the weekend
Okay.
because again, there's no such thing as a full time podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
So where are those pockets of time that you can do it either
Mm-hmm.
at night or during the weekend?
So if you are a podcaster for PNA and let's say you just live the next block,
Yeah,
you can do you can do a daily podcast.
if you want. But most people make banco.
Okay. So
They
parang
like Kurazers. They record 6, 7 episodes
talaga in one
in one.
sitting.
Yeah, so they're there for a long time,
Okay.
right?
Is
But
it how many minutes is one
depends.
episode?
Kurazers, I think the longest they have is 1 hour.
1 hour. Okay.
30 minutes to 1 hour. That's their sweet spot.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, my record here is 6 hours.
Holy fucking
six
shit.
6 hours and 10 minutes, I think.
Wow.
Well, he's a very good friend, and we were just on a roll that night,
Right, right.
and he was playing.
Okay.
And then I don't even know, parang wala nang nanonood talaga. Isa na lang
Okay.
yata, isa, dalawa. Sabi ko,
Wow.
why stop?
Right.
Tuloy lang natin to, di ba? Parang
Right.
anyway, but again, this is I'm not thinking about anything else. We'll just be hanging out for the rest
Sure.
of the until sunrise
Oh, wow.
probably. So
Did your wife still love you after that?
well,
Huh?
we were just here, so
Okay,
ano
okay.
naman.
Like, what are you doing with that guy? 6 hours? Are you sure that is still a podcast or not a video?
Well,
Uh,
nakalagay
okay,
naman
okay.
sa nakalagay naman sa ang tindi nun, no?
Oh, wow. 6 hours, bro. Oh,
Magpa-viral
my
lang,
God.
no?
Wow, that's crazy.
Okay, so uh what else can I hustle share.
Mhm,
How was it? Can you give us a little insight on
mhm.
how it was to be in a reality show?
Uh, it was, to be honest, I had fun.
Really?
I thrive in situations like that.
Did you
So,
have to live in a separate
no, no,
place
no,
or
no. So we had tapings, right? So
okay?
there's challenges and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you pitch,
Okay.
and if they like your shit, they offer to give you money.
Sino yung pinakang mga sharks nila doon?
So there's 4 during our season. It was Mark Vernon. He's a investor on. He he has a lot of things going on, but basically
Okay.
people know him for fintech. So he
Okay.
financial tech
I
shit,
see. I see.
blockchain, fucking
Okay.
uh, Bitcoin, whatever shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then Michael Dargani,
Mm-hmm.
he's the one who brought in Baskin Robbins here in the Philippines,
Okay.
and both ended up as our investors.
Oh.
And then one is William Tu Lim. He's the president and founder of Mega Sardines,
Okay.
right? And then last one is Mika Tan. It's millennial CEO of she's, it's like younger than me 2 3 years. Like wow, it's amazing.
Really.
Yeah. So they're of MFT Group. So
Mm.
there. That's what we did. I embarrassed myself. Majority of the
How
time.
many episodes?
Oh gosh, 12, 10. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
Oh,
The
really?
final pitch, season 4. You'll see me there. Yeah, they're gradually uploading all the episodes now because they're releasing a new season 5, I think, early this year too.
Was it did you already have your idea parang planchado na ba or
Yeah,
sumalang doon?
yeah.
So
So this
present mo na
podcast
lang
network
talaga.
already.
I see.
When
Well, it's good. It's great that it came at the right place. 'Di ba?
no,
That you have this idea already, and
correct.
then
Again, probably it's because of experience too. We already knew where how to. This is not the first time I raised money
mm-hmm,
in all my startups in Partyfile, in
mm-hmm.
Chatbot PH, and in podcast. I've always been able to raise money, so it's not a new thing. The
I
only
see.
difference now is I have to fucking do the show before I get the money,
Oh, okay,
right?
what's the show again?
The final
The
pitch.
final pitch.
Yeah.
Is it the first season or
No,
what?
it's the fourth season now.
Oh, also
Yes.
it's already there.
Yeah.
So parang that's a target.
Correct. And
Ah,
especially
okay.
in a business like this, you gotta create some hype,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's also a media play,
Yeah.
right? If I was selling fucking screwdrivers,
Mm-hmm.
I do not need to be on final pitch. Who the fuck? That's not how you make money. That's not how you make noise.
Mm.
Here, I needed to again put the money where the mouth was
Mm-hmm.
because you needed to evangelize. As I'm growing the network, you need
Mm-hmm.
to grow the message or the good news of
The
podcasting,
good juice.
right?
Oh.
Right? That oh, this is a new. What is that? What is this podcasting thing, Ron?
when you presented the podcast, the idea,
Yeah,
what was the initial reaction?
they liked it. I was
But
surprised.
were they all familiar with podcast?
Two of them again. Those two that eventually invested on, and
Oh,
matter of
okay.
fact, even one of them already listened to Hustleshare before. I'm like, what?
Really?
That's
Wow.
fucking crazy. But yeah, cool.
Well, Hustle Share, you feature entrepreneurs, di ba?
Entrepreneurs, hustlers. Again, within the startup,
Mm-hmm.
that's my tribe. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
community.
I see.
And I know I have a lot of friends that yo, just come over. Let's fucking talk about your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not that hard for me to get there. And then now it's a gift that keeps on giving. A lot of the people I'm interviewing are total strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them.
Parang you just they would just recommend
Yeah, yeah. Now it's like, oh, interview this guy. Like,
oh,
okay, sure,
ganun, di ba?
send him over, right?
Yeah.
And
It
now at
happens
least,
here too all
yeah,
the time.
correct. So I do make banco every once in a while, right? Because again, I'm doing too many things
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. I cannot have that time where I can allocate every week. So there are weeks where I record 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
in advance,
Mm-hmm.
and then during weekends that's when I do my intro,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I record my VO and
Oh, okay.
whatnot.
You're not doing a video.
I used to, but I really am not a video guy. So thank
Uh,
you, Pogi. Right.
well, when I actually my first the first yung unang incarnation ng show,
Right.
since I'm an artist, I was thinking that I would draw,
Sure.
'di ba? But when you draw live, it's very it's very ang tagal nung payout eh.
It's
'Di
like
ba?
Art
Kasi
Attack.
'di ba
Remember
parang
Art Attack from
when
before?
yeah,
Yeah.
when you're starting, you just you can't you can't show
Of
the final
course.
image. It will take you a couple of hours
Of
before
course.
you can see something
Mhm.
that's enjoyable, 'di
Correct.
ba? And then and so what you need to do is to record it before, and then parang ita-time lapse mo, 'di ba?
Correct.
And then that would mean I would have to edit.
Right.
And
And it's hard.
I was hoping I could do once a week or at 2 times a week, and then eventually parang when pag nagkaroon ka mga deadlines, I can't, I don't have time to edit.
Correct.
And then but then even when I was doing that, I've still at the back of my mind, ano talaga yung podcasting like Joe Rogan yung gusto kong
Yeah.
gawin.
And
Sab-
yeah, he was a big inspiration to a lot of podcasters.
yeah.
Right.
And so fuck it. Sabi ko, paano ba niya ginagawa to? So
Yeah.
Google, 'di
Right.
ba? Ganito pala live broadcasting apps, blah 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 blah. Blah.
Mm-hmm.
Trial and error took me from the moment that I entertained,
Mm-hmm.
parang entertained it seriously. Na parang gagawin ko to. Okay, okay. Mag-ano ako, mag-aalat ako ng totoong oras para
Mm-hmm.
mag-research.
Mm-hmm.
Siguro from that point, mga more than 2 years, hindi naman, almost 2 years.
Wow.
Bago
Wow.
ko siya, maybe a little more than, maybe that's an overestimation. Maybe
Right.
around
Year and a half.
1 year to
Yeah.
a year and a half.
Okay.
And then well, at the during that time, kasama na nung nag-drawing ako
Got it.
na, and then trial and error para ano, I'm gonna do this live.
Got
If
it.
I'm gonna if kung magagawa ko ng live, that is
Mm.
the only solution to cut out the editing time. So ito na yung
Mm.
ginagawa ko, yun na yun. And then
Got it.
sakto biglang nauso yung Facebook Live.
Wow.
'Di ba? Parang sa kasi yung Facebook Live parang 2 years pa lang eh.
Right.
'Di ba? So parang sakto to.
Yeah. Timing.
So yun. So Hustle Share comes out every what?
Every Monday. It's I purposely made that because that's when people go to work, and I want them to be at least feel. I
Oh.
thought again. I think it works. Feel inspired,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to work, and they're like, "Oh God, that guy did it. I want to do that too."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's something like it. That's how I see it.
How did you conceptualize that? Kasi if you're gonna be starting a podcast,
Right.
parang you can't just parang acquiring a microphone
Right.
is not the first step eh.
No.
If you have even if you have it, you
Hmm.
don't know what you're gonna talk about, diba?
Right.
Parang what was your process?
So I always have inspirations. I told him entree leadership was one. So
Mm-hmm.
I picked what I like from different podcasts that I
Mm-hmm.
listen to, and then I drafted it in my like, all right, how will I do this? Right. I didn't want to be limited by a script.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to put my own flavor to it, cast,
Yeah.
throw a lot of jokes, and but still within the flow. So again, one of the things I did is to study the fundamentals, how to edit, the the post and
Mm-hmm.
everything, self education, and then yeah, bought a mic. I
What?
needed to be comfortable
Mm-hmm.
talking behind the mic on a VO, and that's what I did in the voice acting class anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I said it's a skill. You need to always exercise it. If you're not, it's gonna be very difficult,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, when I was starting, kasi when I started the podcast, first 7 or 8 episodes,
mm,
I tried to do it solo. And
oh
then
shit,
and then immediately
it's
learned
hard.
learned that I wasn't that interesting.
Wow, wow,
Diba? So parang okay. So kasi I have I follow several podcasts aside from Joe.
okay.
Chael Sonnen is a former fighter.
Yeah, I
Is
know. He almost beat Anderson Silva.
Yeah, yeah. So
Almost. Almost. That
well,
was so close.
he did in sa mga fans niya.
Hey, he
Anyway,
tapped out. That's what he did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I listened to that guy,
Mm,
parang the way that he could tell a story, it's just so fascinating and
right.
parang have you tried listening to one of his
No, I didn't
no?
even know he had a podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and well, there's a lot of things to say about the podcast,
Right.
it's one of the best podcasts out there, especially if you're an MMA fan.
Okay.
But
Is he retired now?
yeah, yeah. Last year he had this last fight
With
with I think Lyoto Machida.
oh,
Lyoto
the
Machida,
dragon?
yeah, the
Did he
dragon
win or did he
in
lose?
Bellator. He lost. He lost.
They're in Bellator
Yeah,
now?
Yes, yes,
They're
he's in
no longer
Bellator.
in UFC.
No, yeah, 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 yeah.
Shit,
He's
that
been
sucks.
since when he was about to fight Vanderlei Silva, and then it fell
Wow.
apart. That was, I think, 4 years na siyang nandun. Parang ganun. Four or
Vanderlei
three.
Silva, the one, the Axeman,
Axe murderer.
Axe murderer. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. So
So the old guys all end up in Bellator.
yes.
Oh fuck.
So Chael, um I don't think he's that into fighting that much based on what I saw. Kasi he fought pa in the Grand Prix. He
Oh wow.
parang ano
Like King of the Ring kind of thing.
uh hindi
Like
naman
Ultimate
but not
Fighter.
yeah, well
Yeah.
yung kumbaga parang
Tournament.
tournament siya
Got it.
pero not on one night.
Okay.
Hindi single
Ah,
night
wow.
'yon.
You're gonna be beaten to a pulp by that
Yeah,
time.
so he fought Fedor.
Wow.
Dinaanan niya yun. Kaso na-knockout siya ni Fedor eh. Pero he,
Fedor and Chael, aren't they in the, they're not supposed to be in the same weight
yeah,
class.
yeah. Well, they fought at heavyweight. The
Oh,
Grand Prix
he's
was
gonna
in,
lose. He's gonna be too
yeah,
slow.
yeah, yeah. And, but he beat Vanderlei there.
Okay.
That's where he
How
beat
old is that
Vanderlei.
guy? That guy's fucking scary.
Yeah.
He looks like a scroll.
Oo nga eh. Especially after, medyo pogi pa siya nung nagsisimula siya sa Pride
Yeah.
eh. Pero nung, syempre, alam mo yun,
Yeah.
nabasag-basag na yung mukha niya.
He looks
Mukha
like
talagang
he looks
axe
like a
murderer.
scroll. He like a scroll.
Yeah.
Fucking Talos. Is it Talos or Talos? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Talo.
that's that guy. Right. The main scroll.
Yeah. And the Lord of the Rings, the what do you call that? The
Gollum.
orc?
Ah, the orc.
The
Right.
the
Right.
the big ones, I forget.
I
I
have
forget
no
what they
idea,
call.
but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Anyway, so this Chael Sonnen guy, he's I think he's the best, one of the best storytellers that he
Really?
can
Okay.
he
I'll
can
give
he
a
can
listen.
he can captivate you. Parang he was talking about, let's say, a burger.
Okay.
A
Wow.
burger, 'di ba? And then tawa ka ng tawa. Ang galing nito.
Wow.
Tapos eventually parang, well, that is kasi I know my skills. I know what I could my capacity as a speaker,
Sure.
'di ba? And I know hindi ako ganun.
Okay.
So parang kasi sa totoo lang, sometimes I still cringe
Right.
when I listen to my
Yeah.
to my episodes,
Right.
and I catch my lapses in grammar
Yeah.
all the time. Oh, mali.
Yeah. Yeah.
Parang
Yeah.
ganun, or something.
Same. Same.
Oh, or
I
sometimes.
listen to my shows to catch my shit.
Oh,
Most of the time, like, fuck, what did I say there?
well,
Right.
I catch it on the
Right.
fly, like right now. But what's
Right.
mali yung
Right. Right.
mapapakikita mo, makapakringe ako ganyan.
Right. Right.
Or sometimes I would listen to my podcast, and
Uh-huh.
then there's this idea that hindi ko na i-ano eh, naitawid yung gusto ko talagang sabihin.
Sure.
Alam mo yun, parang I could have articulated that thought much better.
Sure.
'Di ba? And that's frustrating. And
Mm.
right now, I think syempre i-assess mo rin yung sarili mo, 'di ba?
Mm.
Parang I think leaps and bounds na. Pero I think I still have way
A
too a
lot.
lot of
Yeah.
alam mo
Mhm.
yun,
Same.
ang layo ko
Mhm.
pa, 'di ba? If I'm gonna use let's say uh yun nga si Chael Sonnen,
Right.
or let's say somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Mhm.
kasi the way they would talk about complicated things and
Right.
make it sound so simple and yet so enlightening.
Correct.
But
No, but
diba?
some people are really just blessed storytellers,
Oo
right?
nga
That
eh.
they have a way to create that narrative from where it is. So, and one thing, if you're an aspiring podcaster, just be comfortable in your own skin.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to be like that, because if you always also compare yourself, I mean, it's good that you're striving to be better.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Mhm.
But if you're doing it to sound like one person
Yes,
without
yes.
owning your own content
Yeah.
in your own mojo,
Mhm.
it's gonna be hard because you're
Yeah.
not comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, well, I'm not naman parang trying to be a Chael Sonnen.
Sure,
I'm
sure,
not
of course, right.
not even a Joe Rogan, because I will never be a Joe
Yeah.
Rogan.
And I actually
Oh, diba?
love your branding. The powerful comics man. It's good, and you get it right away. I get the message of where you're
Uh-huh.
gonna attack it.
Mhm.
Some podcasts, you have to like, okay, what the fuck is that? Okay, what is this about, right?
Okay.
So that's what it is, right? So
Mhm.
the branding is off for the
Okay.
sake. It's like
Yeah.
all right. So I don't want to. I don't have a specific podcast, but if you have to ask and you see on the when you see the list, like, what the fuck is this,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get it, you already shot yourself in the foot because you didn't get your message across,
Yeah, yeah.
right? If someone was just browsing and they didn't really understand what you're saying, then yeah, sorry.
But also the audio quality is very important, 'di ba?
Absolutely.
Parang kasi there are people na sometimes parang parang okay na to, 'di ba? Parang yung content yung importante.
Mm.
Yung equipment parang second lang 'yan. Parang I could do this on kahit sa gitna ng kalye na madaming jeep
No,
on the, on the
I'm
phone,
sorry.
'di ba? Parang
I'm a burst your bubble right there.
'di ba?
No, you have to invest in a decent mic. Not the
Yes.
best mic, a decent mic where you can actually, even just a dynamic mic or would
Mm.
do. It doesn't have to be a fucking condenser, right?
Mm.
Actually, it's hard to record in a condenser because it's recording everything from a
Yeah, yeah,
360
yeah.
angle. Dynamic, you can focus it out and do like,
Yeah, yeah.
like that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it zeroes in on your voice,
Yes.
right?
And you have to also do your podcast in an environment where it's conducive for you to speak,
Exactly.
and also for the listeners na
Reverb
walang,
is your enemy,
'di ba?
right there.
So
Yeah.
if parang if you're gonna discount yung technical aspects,
Hmm.
parang again, that's shooting yourself on the foot,
Correct.
'di ba?
Yeah.
And parang why not? Sure, you might be the best storyteller in the
Sure.
world,
But you
pero
sound like shit.
oh,
Sorry.
'di ba?
Yeah.
You
So,
can
if,
everything has to work together.
correct. And you need to, again, educate yourself. So just Google some shit of how to create podcasts. There's so many content creators already, especially on YouTube, that does that. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to, you can't cut corners. You can't do shortcuts. You
Mm-hmm.
need to understand from pre-prod all the way to editing
Mm-hmm.
and even marketing your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do it all because each component is important for your show to have a chance to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut corners, sorry, you did a shortcut.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, right?
And kasi 'di ba kailangan nga kasi magkakasama yung elements. It should work together. And
Yeah,
quality is always something that you should strive for, 'di ba?
absolutely.
Kasi
And
parang you can, di pwede na, 'di ba?
mhm,
The pwede na mentality should go, 'di ba?
correct,
If you want to do something, make it something worthwhile.
correct,
Make it kumbaga, make the your experience worthwhile then in
correct.
creating it.
Exactly. And especially the first 5 minutes are the most important because if I'm gonna invest my time to you,
Mhm.
why the fuck should I stay if I'm bored in the first five,
Mm.
right? So you wanna hook them there, even in the first 1 minute,
Mm.
right? Because you know how people are now, like, fuck this, whatever, right?
Oo nga, oo nga, oo nga.
So that's what it is. Especially if you don't have video, you have to sound well. You have to sound good because that's your only convincing factor
Mm.
of why they should listen to you.
Is voice quality how important is it?
You shouldn't be. You have. It's really the diction and how you deliver the words.
Mhm.
Don't eat your words. Don't breathe into the mic like this, like
Oo.
fuck that, right? You know, voice quality is not. This is not broadcasting.
Mm.
So you can sound as natural as you are,
Mm.
but there's exercises to
Mm.
improve the modulation of your
Mm.
voice. But yeah, it's really practice of how comfortable you
Mm.
are talking behind the mic.
Mm. And also make it keep in mind to make it pleasant to
Absolutely.
the
So
to the
listen
one
to
who's
your
listening.
recordings, absolutely,
Yeah, di
or
ba?
have people listen to the early recordings so you can improve on
Do you have any tips on to those who parang who kumbaga nandito na, parang nag episodes na.
it. Know your numbers, number one. So
Mhm.
hopefully by then, Podmetrics should be able to help you out because this provides you with a holistic view of who your real audience is. If you know the demographic of the people that actually listen to you,
Mhm.
then you can relate to them better. If you keep saying Tito jokes and apparently your fucking listeners are 18 years old,
Oo.
oh, what the fuck, right? Don't throw your Tito jokes. You have to improve your jokes,
Mm.
right? So it's being able to know your numbers and also don't cut corners, like what I said. Educate yourself in all the facets of podcasting from fucking pre-prod, recording, post prod, and even how you do that, and listen to other shows.
Oo nga,
Number
oo.
one, because you can pick so many. Again, it's no shame if you can copy a certain format or a certain
Yeah,
thing and make it your own,
yeah.
right?
Well, this show na lang is heavily patterned to do to Joe's show, di
Right.
ba? And
You
I
just
don't.
have hair. There. All the hair that was supposed to be his, you got it.
Yeah. So and then, but then I could also say, and even a lot of people would say that this is a kumbaga this show had grown a spirit
Dude, you
of
have
its own,
3,000
di ba?
likes. Come on now. Shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yun. So, teka. Oh, oo nga, no?
See?
Anyway.
The guy doesn't know he has 3,000 likes. Are you kidding me?
Well, I do.
Okay.
Ayun pala. Let's talk about ano. Let's talk about the algorithms of Facebook
Okay.
and YouTube.
Mm,
Kasi it wasn't it's not like before na
mm,
parang in the 2010s
mm,
na parang pag may page ka lalagang yung mga pinapalo mo
mm,
lalabas talaga, tapos ngayon parang kailangan magbayad ka,
mm,
and even if you pay, kasi I tried the parang
mm,
boosting some of my posts.
mm.
The payout isn't that that very, hindi pa ganun ka-desirable pa rin eh.
Absolutely. Um, what's the common denominator between Facebook and YouTube? How do they make money?
Advertising.
That's correct. It's built to get money out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they do that is through content.
Mm-hmm.
You're one content maker, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even if you have a page, that's one content for them.
Okay.
That's why even if you have 3,000 likes, you're only supposed to get around 25% of that organically. In order,
25 ba? Parang 10% nga lang.
again, that's
Anyway.
if it gets viral,
Okay.
right? If not, you have to pay to reach the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to be creative in getting your content out there. So
Mm-hmm.
where are those going to exist, right? Like for me, the best way, one of the better ways I get my content out there in social media is LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
LinkedIn?
because the LinkedIn shit stays there forever, for a long time, for at least a week. If you
Oh.
post on LinkedIn, if for a business podcast, that's where I post, right? And then stories again. Be omni-channel. Don't marry yourself to just one thing and then see what works.
Mm, how popular is LinkedIn in the Philippines?
It's very good because people go there to look for jobs.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't considered that.
LinkedIn is big.
I see.
People go there, and these are the people that are, yeah, the professional.
There are more podcast
Yeah, they're
markets na.
savvy, business savvy, and all that. So they have
Ah.
money. They're looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, LinkedIn works for me.
I'm gonna try that. Yeah.
Let's do it,
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
That's what it is, right?
Oh.
Also, the other ones where again there's more people. Reddit. Reddit
Mm.
is where people discuss shit,
I
right?
never understood Reddit.
It's a
Kasi yung
forum.
mga sub Reddit
It's
na, di
forums
ba?
technically. It's a new form of forum. So Mo Twister, every time he releases an episode, he does a post on a discussion on
Mm-hmm.
his on that episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just fucking feeds off of what and then creates a new episode regarding on what hot topic what people want.
Mm-hmm.
So Reddit.
So meron siyang di ko gets kasi kasi I tried using Reddit before
Mm,
for my videos din.
mm.
Tapos parang sinasabi nila, self-promoting daw yun. Tapos parang dina-downvote nila ako. 'Di ba?
Ah,
Parang kasi bawal daw yung sa Reddit. At least yun ang nakuha ko
yeah,
doon.
correct. So
'Di ba?
maybe you have to be slick about it. Look for the right show. So look for the right subs to there where you can openly show or discuss shit. So just read the terms and whatnot.
But
Because if you get to engage them
mm,
the right way, maybe without even showing yourself, just talk to them with the comics community or
mm,
whatever niche you're in, then you should be able to connect there very fast, very good. Right?
oh.
Because again, social media, yes, it's good. People are there,
Mm-mm.
but if you don't have quality shit, it's gonna be buried in the rubble. There's so much content in there, and the people's attention span in these things are small,
Oo nga eh.
right?
It's a very niche market nga in the
Correct.
Philippines especially.
That's why when you have a podcast, make sure that your call to action is to get them to subscribe or follow you.
Oh.
So because you'll never get that chance again. What if they don't want to listen and they're when you're followed, all your new shit, they get notifications.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's basically it.
So yeah, so follow
Follow the
follow the Powerful
Powerful
Comics Man.
Comicsman podcast.
Yeah, and those are very ano eh, parang very valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
It's
call to action.
well, there's a lot of things yung mga videos na talking about this on
Mm,
YouTube and kung saan-saan pa.
mm.
And kumbaga, parang you need to just follow it eh. Pero sometimes parang, oh, paano ba? Kasi
Yeah.
sometimes, let's say this episode, what I usually do is, so
Mm.
this will be uploaded.
Right.
Kasi it's already automatically uploaded dahil naka-live tayo.
Correct.
'Di ba? And then, since this is gonna be, we're going 1 hour 40 minutes na.
Yeah.
So, ang haba, 'di ba? And
Correct.
then there will be clips, separate clips na parang could be
Yeah, you
episodes of
can
it.
slice it up.
Yeah, that's
The
what
highlights.
that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then those uploading those clips,
Mm-hmm.
parang I'm gonna do it on YouTube, 'di ba? Tapos I'm gonna do it on Facebook pa, 'di ba?
IGTV again.
And
So try it out.
IGTV, 'di ba?
Try it out. Let's see what converts well because you
Mhm.
can see it anyway. The engagement, if people react, if
Mhm.
people whatever, and then measure. So that's why it's numbers. Always look at the numbers.
Well, is it also about the actual content that let's say parang I don't know how many Filipinos are looking
Mm-hmm.
for, let's say content about, let's say, ano ba yung mga nagiging episodes ko dito.
Mm-hmm.
Kumbaga, like right now, podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
di ba? How many, kumbaga parang how would, kasi ang narinig ko na advice is to use yung mga search terms, ang tawag doon?
Hashtags.
No, 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 yung uh, mas fancy na term doon eh. It's not yung mga
Hashtags.
yung mga tags na, yung nakalagay, nalimutan ko bigla eh.
Okay, categories, whatever
Oh,
those are.
mga
Yeah.
ganun, mga ganun. Kasi kumbaga parang the things that people would type on the search engine,
Got it.
'di ba? So,
SEO.
'yun, parang ganun. So, but then parang based on my experience, parang let's say yung Taal, 'di ba?
Mm.
Parang nilagay ko yung mga ano bang kailangan malaman sa
Right,
Taal,
right,
'di ba?
right.
Tapos parang ang unti pa rin ng ano eh, ng mga parang ang unti nang naabot.
I think podcasting is community building too. And it's the host's job to create that, to nurture that community. Podcasting is very host driven. People go to this show not just because of your guest, because of
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
right? Because they want to hear what your message or your questions that you're going to ask to the guest,
Mhm.
right? So in that said, you need to nurture whoever's already in, because whoever's already in are the ones who are going to tell people to come to the community as well. Because if you're always outside looking in, you're taking for granted who's already there,
Okay.
right? Nurture those ones already there, because and then you ask them, hey, if you like this, talk about it, share it on your
Mm.
right, because they would be the one to catch more people to join in, right?
Yeah.
It's the most organic, and there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth,
Yes.
right? So
Mm.
that's how I would do it. And if you connect, engage those people who are there.
Mhm.
You know, like the same way in Hustleshare, I talk to my fucking listeners, right? Not because I
On the show or not?
no, they add me up and like, I chat them,
Mhm.
thank you very much. Is there anything I can do better? I created a group for Hustleshare,
Oh, okay.
right? You're
Okay.
the community, so it you control the fucking thing there. Like, oh, who do you want to have? What are the things you want to talk about? Make them involved.
Ah.
You are nurturing a community. and you are the leader of that tribe,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So a Facebook group
A
would
Facebook
be a good
group,
idea. Well,
yes,
actually,
your own group.
meron na ako, yun nga lang di ko
So
inaasikaso.
there,
Mm. Okay.
and
Hmm.
nurture there, because in a Facebook group, you when whoever posts it, that's why in Podcast PH, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees everybody's post.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay shit because everybody's in that group gets a notification,
Oo nga.
right? In a page, you only get again maximum 25%.
Oo nga eh, di ba?
In a group, they see everything.
Oh, so shout out to the
Podcast
podcast
PH.
PH group. I mean, it's a great group.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I discovered it, oh, okay, ito pa yung mga
Mm,
podcast, di ba?
correct.
And makikita mo yung mga masisigasig talaga,
Correct.
'di ba?
Correct.
And there's a how would you categorize the state of podcasting in the Philippines? Is it budding? Is it on the rise or what?
It's gonna turn into an industry. That's the vision also of how we, again, if this is a tribe,
Mm-mm.
we're putting where our money mouth is, like
Mm-mm.
where our money our mouth where our money is, or shit, I'm already sabaw. But that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, basta.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so
No.
basically our money where our mouth is there.
Oo.
That's what I wanted to say. We want to pave the way for everybody
Oo.
else, right? Like, because I don't want to, if nobody stepped up,
Mm-mm.
right, and actually give the resources
Mm-mm.
to people for them to thrive,
Mm-mm.
it won't happen. And then again, the last thing I want to see is like someone's taking advantage, being sharky about it.
Mm-mm.
And if people become sharky about it, it's a selfish motive. People
Mm-mm.
get burned, and people become, like suspicious of each other, and that's how shit happens,
Yeah.
right?
Or something else could happen, like a foreign investor would come in. It'll
Correct.
be great that you're the one who a fellow Filipino is
Dude,
starting this,
thank you. It's not
diba?
easy though. It's fucking hard.
Oh,
My God.
I could imagine.
Oh, it's hard, man. But
I'm just
again,
doing this one show and diba?
hey, I signed up for this. But again, the best we can do is just to help each other shows, right? Like how you're having me here, and
Mhm.
hopefully I'm providing some value to you.
You
You know,
are, you are.
so that's it. Let's help each other, because that's the only way this community can turn to a fucking industry, right?
Okay. So, do you have a by industry? What does that end goal look like?
Professionalism, but for it to be professionalized, the best in a comics industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's professionals, there's leaders and
Ah, okay.
whatnot.
I
That's
see.
how you know it's already a fucking industry,
Mm-hmm.
because there's multiple there's income coming in,
Mm-hmm.
there's a process to things, there's a standard to things,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's multiple facets that come in, and then there's key leaders that support it, each vertical. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, again, we don't need to compete with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, we're competing for attention, but there's so many people out
No.
there. It's not like, oh, if you like komiksman, you cannot like other shows anymore. You can like both.
No nga
It's
eh, di
not
ba?
polarized,
Oh.
right?
Well, we're doing that already in YouTube. Parang let's say you like Kong TV and then you
Oh,
also like ano bang mga
Jamil,
Jamil, 'di
whatever,
ba?
right?
'Di ba? Pwede naman
Yeah.
eh. Parang di or although may
No, they
sa
collaborate, and
mm,
that's what I like about the YouTuber, uh, the ecosystem they have,
mm,
because they collaborate. They don't hate.
well, some channels do bank on hate though.
They do,
'Di
but
ba?
again, that's what I like about our community here.
Mm-mm.
We're an avenue for mature conversations,
Yeah.
right? For better, deeper conversations.
That's what I wanted. One of the things that I wanted to ask kanina are how ready is the Filipino audience to these kinds of conversations,
It
these kinds
takes
of content.
age and maturity. The sweet spot that I see is again 28 to 34.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this and you're 17, okay, then watch your Jamil first. Okay,
Ah.
because it takes a certain type of maturity to get that type of content that you want. The
Mm-hmm.
same way, if you're younger, you're probably not into the
Yeah.
older Tito shit.
True.
But
True.
as you progress in your life, you're like, fuck, you know what?
Yeah. Well,
I'm changing.
I was around that age when I started listening.
Right.
Then, but how do you think that demographic is well aware of podcasts right now in the
Not
Philippines?
everybody yet. And again, not everybody is into audio as well.
Is that a main challenge for
Correct.
for
That's what I like about what you're doing because you're providing it on video, and Filipinos are visual by default,
no I
right? So it makes it easier for them to digest it,
mm.
right? Nice background. Awesome. Cool.
So paano so I think because I think that is the one of the main parang hurdles
Mm-hmm.
ng ano ng shows like
Mm-hmm.
this that
Mm-hmm.
parang if you see sa YouTube
Mm-hmm.
yung mga let's say yung channel ni Makagago.
Yeah.
'Di ba?
Right.
Parang sikat na sikat siya na kasi he's
Right.
bashing left and right and they thrive in controversy, they
Mm-hmm.
thrive in if that's your thing, more power to you,
Yeah.
'di ba?
Go.
I have nothing against that.
Mm-hmm.
Pero how do you capture? I think parang yun kasi ang mukhang prevalent na audience ng YouTube Philippines eh.
Yeah.
And parang paano natin maisisingit kaya na guys, merong mga content other than
Right.
that you can enjoy just as much and mas kumbaga parang let's elevate the discourse
Correct.
of Philippine content.
I don't have an answer. It would depend on your niche,
Mhm.
where that is. The best we can do again is create your own community. That's the best way to do it because again, people at that age also don't want to see the bullshit.
Mhm.
And so they're not gonna linger around watching for fucking tala videos
Mhm.
and whatnot. Those people are probably not your market.
Mhm.
They're affluent, blah, blah, blah. So you have to find where they hang out and get cut that measure. So you have to be omni-channel about it, right? You find where it's successful, and then if it does, double down.
Well, that's why I am also experimenting on the shorter videos and
Mm,
targeting more specific topics,
right.
but more even the mga YouTube
Mm-hmm.
na let's see, and then try to
Mm-hmm.
talk about these issues in a more mature way,
Yeah.
'di ba? And I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
pero I have learned a lot
Thank you.
from the things that you have shared
Appreciate it.
right now. And
Good luck, man. You're doing an amazing job here.
oh, thank you, thank you. I'm trying to do better, di ba?
Nah, you will. You will.
No.
Again, hopefully, we should exchange notes. And Podcast BH is already, the group Podcast BH is already a great avenue to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But one thing I want to see there is more questions than flexing. Because sometimes that's what we do all
Mm-hmm.
the time. We flex too
Uh,
much. Like, hey, listen to my shit, listen to my shit, to my shit.
mm-hmm.
It's a great group already where we can exchange
Mm-hmm.
notes, right? Why don't we do that,
Are
right?
are you an admin in
I think
Podcast
they made me a
PH?
moderator.
Okay.
One thing I don't have is time.
Who owns the Podcast PH?
Some Filipina.
Is it
She,
Sheena? Sheena
no,
Yap?
no, no,
No,
no.
no.
It's Camille. Camille is her name.
Ah, okay.
Right, so thank you, Camille, for creating Podcast PH.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
She's based out of the US now. She migrated.
hmm.
I think her podcast is Coco Pods Club, if I'm not
Ah,
mistaken.
yeah. I think parang it is the Podcast PH group is created
Yeah.
for that show.
But I think she migrated. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the whole narrative. But thank you, Camille, for doing that because it now provides an avenue for podcasters to thrive.
Oh, and also a meeting point, 'di ba? Parang okay.
Yes. And that's why we also created the meetups
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to just be a cyber fucking community. Let's
Okay.
meet up. I'll fucking take care of the catering, whatever. Let's meet up, exchange notes, whatever. Right.
Let me know.
We'll
Every
probably
time
do one, if not March, April. One,
March, April.
yeah, March or April.
I was about to go last December and
But it was fucked up. It was traffic. It was like the worst time. But
really.
we couldn't miss Delamar being here and the former radio peeps to
Mm.
talk about the
Kala ko
difference.
nga hindi natuloy eh. Parang
It did. It
parang
did. Right after the
oh.
eavesdrop event, we did it after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But next time, definitely, I should see you there. Let's discuss.
Yes.
Let's exchange notes.
Yeah, because kumbaga, I've said this many times here. Parang podcasting is I found one thing that I really probably would do
For the rest of your
for
life.
oh, 'di
Same
ba?
shit I always say.
'Di ba?
This is
Parang
it. This is what I'm gonna do.
I'm not dropping art and
Right.
comics anytime soon
But it's
or
so
or
fun.
ever.
Right.
But podcasting is
Yeah. No, this is
Diba?
it. Yeah.
And also this is a I have kasi I gave myself kasi like I said kanina parang
Uh,
I know I know jack shit about broadcasting
right.
when I started,
Mhm.
and I was giving
It
myself
helps to have that though.
uh, three
Yeah.
to at least 3 years to
Yeah.
improve,
Hmm.
and then alam mo yun, maybe and then 5 years and until alam mo yun, ma-master mo.
Correct.
Kasi right now I'm still alam mo yun, I still get lost sometimes.
Yeah.
Nasasabaw
But
na
through
rin.
repetition, you through eventually you'll get better at it too.
Yeah. All right. So we're almost 2 hours.
Yep.
So
I think I have to go too.
yes,
We are gonna.
yes,
I still want to be able to sleep in the house.
yeah. So
Right. I don't want to sleep in the car tonight. Right.
um to the Mrs. Baetiong, I'm sending
Yeah.
him
Thank
back
you.
over.
Okay.
And
My love. See you in a bit. Okay.
but then is there any a few more things that you'd like to say before you
Let's grow this community together. Well, there's not enough shows yet.
go? Mm-hmm.
I'm not hating on the foreign content. The reason why people consume it is because it's great. But I hate it when a Filipino is like, "Hey, do you listen to podcasts?" Yeah, I listen to TED Talks. I listen to Dave Ramsey. I listen to
Uh,
Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, do you know any local podcasts? No, there is. Mhm.
oh. Well,
Where?
I think parang ano naman 'yon, parang starting point yung mga popular, really popular
No, correct.
podcast and
But
then
it's time to break that stigma that
yes,
podcasting is only for American content or foreign content.
true, true,
There's so many good stories that we can tell. Someone needs to fucking nurture that community and talk about
true.
it, right? And you know, the best formats, like there's no true number one true crime Filipino podcast yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's wide open. The best true crime shows, the best we have here, which is doing great, is fucking horror stories,
Oo nga.
right? So there's one Creepsilog. So shout out to Creepsilog. They're trying to do it. But it's a hard nut to crack,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, be brave. You have nothing to lose.
True,
You
exactly.
have nothing fucking to lose. I
That's what
swear.
that was my mentality when I started this. Parang
Hmm.
okay, if I'm gonna embarrass myself, then okay, 'di ba? Who knows me? Wala naman nakakakilala sa akin. And parang what's if that's the worst thing that could happen,
Hmm.
then I don't mind, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So there. Thank you so much for doing this,
Thank you so
Ron.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
But
Again, no, sorry, my bad. I saw the Brontosaurus here. Sorry, like my bad.
So yeah, so hustle share
Thank you
and
so much.
check out Spotify. Just type in Philippines podcast, Philippines
There's so many.
Filipino podcast. Just
Right.
utilize
Podcast PH.
utilize the search engine on Spotify and Google and even in
Right.
Apple Podcasts, and let's support local
Right.
because yung sinasabi ko nga dito parang hangga't bago sumakay na kayo, 'di ba?
Right.
Wag na kayong maging bandwagoner later
No,
on.
correct. And there's nothing wrong about it. Again, it
Oo nga
doesn't
eh.
matter when you start,
Yes.
but just don't fucking stop.
Pero
Right.
mas meron kang ano,
Correct.
parang meron kang bragging rights.
Correct.
Maganda, 'di ba?
But here's one thing. If you're a Filipino podcast or you're a podcast consumer in the Philippines
Mhm.
and you're listening to any Filipino podcast, whatever the fuck it is, don't be shy in sharing it.
Mhm.
Because again, it's very intimate,
True,
right?
true,
It's very
true.
intimate. Not we don't go into to the canteen or to the pantry talking about. You know what? I'm talking about this I listen to this podcast, but maybe you should also talk about it because it's a great topic for discourse.
True, true. Well,
Instead of chismis, let's talk about the podcast,
I
right?
think that is one aspiration to meet, 'di ba? Parang
Yeah,
okay, parang that's one goal that parang yung us podcasters
yeah.
parang parang
Pantry
we're
talk. I'd love to be part of
at the
pantry
water
talk.
cooler, 'di
Yeah,
ba?
exactly. Water cooler talk, whatever.
So, 'yun.
Thank you, Gerald. Appreciate it.
Yes. So, Ronster Baetiong, Hustle Share Podcast.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat.
Appreciate it.
Maraming salamat. And to everybody who's watching, Ishi Viray, Stanley Chi, Jems, Roger, Dave Scott, Johnny Pagdanganan na one of my parang my supporters here in the
Okay. What up, guys?
yes. So that's it.
Thank you.
Powerful Comics Man podcast. Signing out.
Peace.